Hello, who are you and where are you from?
Hi, I'm Chase McMahon, and I'm from sunny Daytona Beach, Florida.
That's where we're at. What do you do?
Actually, what I do is I help people with neuropathy, diabetes. I go around the actual world and help people. It's a long story, but I help people that have problems with their nerves.
And
Long
you
story
sell
short.
them products, right?
I sell products as well. We can talk about that more later, but long story short, I help people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in your life, I mean, has the climate changed much since you were a kid?
Absolutely. And of course, the older I get, the more you know. I went to college, so of course, the climate, like you can see what's on television, you know for yourself. I've always been a skeptic myself, so when we go to listen to what's going really on, I've seen things that were discussed in news, and I've seen things that weren't discussed at the same time, and two different versions of it, and it really made me question what it is. So I like to do things personally and see them from my own eyes, as well as believe my news. I think that the climate's changed heavily, and it should be talked about more. And
Was it more warmer winters, warmer summers?
It's it's not even that. I lived in Minnesota for 2 years, so I was there for the polar vortex, and then I switched over to Texas, and we got a Nino through. I think it's just a part of life, but generally there's something going on faster.
Flooding you're here
flooding
in
on the West Coast and stuff like that. So in California, of course, I go to LA and San Francisco, and that's it, man. That's when San Andreas is always on fire.
But what about Daytona? I'm wondering about
Daytona is terrible, and it's got its ways, but environmentally, people are the same. This is a tourist place, so people treat this place like a trash can.
You haven't seen more flooding or
we've seen more
hurricanes
the hurricanes are the hurricanes do what they do, and unfortunately it is God's work. So yeah, it's all kind of changing. Everything is going up north. We never used to have hurricanes growing up. Everybody, when I came up growing up, we would have hurricane parties, and then we would always know the hurricane would be like a 3 or 4, and then it would hit off the coast, and then it would go out into the seas. Now it's going to New York and going through the Carolinas, and it's changing directions, and so the weather patterns are absolutely being manipulated with.
And then on an everyday basis, do you think about it much? And let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most concerned. How
bothers me all the time. And the worst part is I'm a nobody, so no one really kindly wants to hear my opinion. But honestly, I see it. I travel every 10 days to a new state. I get to see it. I can tell you how it really is. But do people want to know the truth? That's the hardest part.
Well, that brings us to the last question. Should we be optimistic or pessimistic about the future, and is there anything we can do?
I think that you should be both. Honestly, there's really no real answer. More optimistic, I guess. I'm more towards optimism because you have to be open-minded. But if people are in power with open-mindedness, they can control problems, which can make that a difficult problem for us in the future. So if things were on track, optimism, because we always want to keep thinking outside the box. We're scientists at heart, but at the same time, that's just what happens. We're not in that world that we were before.
So are you optimistic?
If you Joe Biden or wait, can I?
All right.
Sorry.
Cut you off.
You're good.
No, go ahead.
Realistically, I don't. My president's the worst. But he literally, it doesn't make any sense. It's like the story is it's like a comic book growing up. Watching this guy grow into power and all these people pushing him for him, he's a puppet. And then seeing all these things, and especially the plagiarism from newspapers back in the day, like the New York newspapers, you'd see all these people in power and they make comical jokes, but it's not funny anymore.
About climate or
climate, environment. The fact that we're being invaded by another country and we're giving billions to another country, which I appreciate Ukraine, but what about our homelessness? What about the United States of America? What about our problems? It makes us look good around the world, but we have our own issues that we should focus on first. And then if you focus, it's like a relationship. You You got to be a good person, and then you got to love another good person, and then you have great personality and good like relationship. That should be like anything. Like right now, we're just all over the place.
And so climate is just one of many things you're worried about.
Climate is one. It's a very huge thing I'm worried about. Like I notice a difference, and yes, it should be talked about a lot more.
All right.
Yeah.
And you do think there's something we can do, or no?
There's a lot that we could do. We can actually unite, but it's going to take a lot of people. And I mean, the best way to do it is, of course, you know, on the internet. We just need people like you guys to do it together for this company. And if you have it, if there's a URL or anything, you should put it right here and then help us.
Very good. Hey, thank you very much. Today is what?
It's my pleasure. Today is Thursday.
The 19th.
Yeah.
The 19th of January here in Daytona Beach. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.